Right now, somewhere close to you, there is sound. Maybe it is traffic in the distance, a notification on someone's phone, a voice from another room, a door closing, the hum of electricity, the ordinary noise of a world full of people. We live inside that noise so completely that we have stopped noticing it. This video asks a question most of us have never seriously thought about, not because it is impossible, but because it is almost too uncomfortable to imagine. What if you woke up one day and every other human being on Earth was simply gone? Not war, not disaster, just gone. And you were the only one left. Most people, when they hear that idea, think of freedom first. No obligations, no noise, no crowds, just peace. But by the end of this video, you may feel something very different, because the truth of that silence is not what most of us expect. This is a story about what it really means to be human, and it begins the moment the last voice disappears. Imagine waking up on an ordinary morning. You reach for your phone out of habit. The screen lights up, but there are no new messages, no alerts, no news. You do not think much of it yet. You walk outside. The street is empty. Not quiet the way it gets at 3 in the morning. Completely, absolutely empty. No cars, no one walking a dog, no one waiting at a bus stop, no sound of children, no voices anywhere at all. You call out, no one answers. You try calling a friend. The line connects, but it just rings, and rings, and rings. You check every app, every channel, every radio frequency. Nothing, just static and then silence. At this point, most people would not feel fear immediately. They would feel something stranger, a kind of confused curiosity, like arriving at a party where the room is set up perfectly, the food is still warm on the table, but no one is there. The world is ready, but the people are missing. For a few hours, there is almost something exciting about it. The streets belong to you. The shops are open and empty. You could walk into any building, sit in any seat, take anything you wanted. And for a short while, that might feel like freedom. One psychologist explained it simply. Humans are very good at adapting to new situations in the short term, but we need other people to make sense of those situations. Without them, the mind starts searching. And when it finds nothing, that is when the real difficulty begins. By day 2 or 3, something begins to shift. You have searched your neighborhood, maybe your entire town. You have driven streets and highways in both directions. You have gone to hospitals, police stations, the tallest buildings you could find, looking for any sign of another person, a light on in a window, a movement, anything. You find nothing. And now the silence that felt peaceful just 2 days ago begins to feel different, heavier, like a weight slowly pressing down. The small routines of daily life suddenly feel meaningless. Why make food carefully when there is no one to share it with? Why get dressed properly? Why do anything in any particular order? The structure of your days used to be built around other people. Schedules, meetings, conversations, plans. Now all of that is gone. Without routine, time starts to feel strange. An hour can feel like a whole day. A day can pass without you noticing it at all. An astronaut who spent months in isolation once said, "Isolation changes the way the mind experiences time." Days begin to blur. You start to lose the sense of why one moment is different from the next. It is deeply disorienting. And that was with regular contact with Earth. Without any contact at all, I cannot imagine what that would do to a person. You might try to keep yourself busy. You might explore, eat whatever you want, watch films on a screen still powered by electricity. But even those things begin to feel hollow, because enjoyment, real enjoyment, is built for sharing. A beautiful sunset means something different when there is no one beside you to say, "Look at that." And this is only day 3. Now imagine weeks have passed, maybe months. The human mind is not built for this kind of aloneness, not because we are weak, but because for our entire history as a species, being alone meant danger. Being with others meant safety. That understanding is built so deep inside us that we cannot simply turn it off. A researcher who studied people in extreme isolation once said, "Loneliness is not just an emotion. It affects sleep, concentration, memory." The brain begins to treat prolonged isolation the way it treats physical pain, as something that must stop. When it cannot stop, it starts to find ways to cope, and some of those ways are not healthy. Over time, you would likely begin talking to yourself, not just thinking out loud, but having real conversations, asking and answering questions. This is not a sign of madness. It is the mind doing what it was built to do. Connect. You might give names to things. A plant, a dog you find wandering alone, a photograph of someone you never knew. You might begin to feel a strange attachment to objects that once belonged to other people. You would be doing what humans have always done when connection is taken away. You would invent it. But invention can only go so far. After months of true isolation, survival experts say the most dangerous moment is not when a person stops eating or sleeping. It is when they stop caring about either. When the motivation to continue disappears, not because life is painful, but because life feels pointless without anyone to live it alongside. One survival expert put it plainly, in every extreme isolation case we have studied, the turning point is not physical, it is psychological. The body can survive remarkable conditions, but the mind needs a reason. And for most people, other people are that reason. While all of this is happening inside your mind, the world around you would be changing too. Within the first few days, power stations would begin to fail. Without people monitoring and maintaining them, they would simply stop. The lights would go out, first in some areas, then everywhere. Cities that once glowed from space would go dark one by one. Water systems would stop pumping. Phones would lose signal. Fuel would eventually run dry. The technologies that make modern life possible all require human hands to keep them running. And without those hands, they would quietly shut down. But nature would not wait. Within weeks, grass would begin pushing through the cracks in city sidewalks. Birds would nest in the windows of abandoned offices. Within years, forests would start reclaiming roads. Rivers would run cleaner. The sky would clear. Animals that had lived on the edges of human territory would move back in, slowly and carefully, as if testing whether it was finally safe. The world would not end without humans. In many ways, for everything else living on it, it would begin again. And you would watch all of it. Alone. Here is the thing. Most of us have, at some point, wished for a little more quiet, a little more space, fewer obligations, less noise from the world and the people in it. That feeling is real and completely understandable. Life with other people is complicated. People disappoint us, frustrate us, crowd us, demand things from us. Society can feel exhausting, but what this thought experiment reveals is something we rarely stop to consider. Other people are not just the source of our problems, they are the source of almost everything that gives life shape and meaning. The language you think in was given to you by other people. The music that moves you was made by someone else. The goals you have, the values you hold, even your sense of who you are, all of it was formed in relation to other human beings. Take them away, and you would not just be lonely, you would begin to lose the structure of yourself. As one psychologist said simply, humans are not meant to exist alone. Connection is not a comfort, it is a need, as real as food, as real as sleep. Without it, everything else begins to unravel. This is not a dramatic idea. It is a quiet one, but it is one of the truest things we know about our species. So here is where we arrive. If you were the last person on Earth, you would have everything, every building, every road, every object ever made by human hands, every piece of art, every library, every vehicle, the entire accumulated wealth of human civilization, yours and only yours. And none of it would be enough. Not because you could not survive. Maybe you could, for a long time, but because survival and living are not the same thing. We live through connection. We find meaning through being seen, being known, being part of something larger than ourselves. The strangest realization would come quietly, perhaps sitting somewhere beautiful. A hilltop, a harbor, a room full of light, and understanding fully, for the first time, that beauty only feels like beauty because there is someone to point at it. That a joke is only funny because someone else laughs. That an achievement only means something because someone else acknowledges it. That a memory only stays warm because it belongs to people who are still here to remember it together. The scariest part of being the last person alive would not be the silence, or the darkness, or the slow unraveling of the world around you. It would be the moment you understood that reality itself. The weight of it, the warmth of it, the sense that any of it matters, only feels real because other people are there to share it with you. Without them, even existence becomes something you are no longer sure how to hold. The next time the world feels like too much, too crowded, too loud, too demanding, remember this: all of that noise, all of those people, that complicated, exhausting, beautiful mess of human life, that is what makes everything else real.